live. Thank you all for tuning in. So, today I'm going to speak about destiny versus free will. But before I get into that, I wanted to just say that the video I did last week, which was a shout out to all medical professionals, it received so much feedback and 99.9% of them positive, which is great. It made me so happy because so many people resonated with that message on so many levels. So if you haven't watched that video, please go back and watch it. Um, I wanted to just say a couple of things about that and a couple of the comments that I received from it. And then, and it will actually dovetail into today's topic of destiny versus free will and my understanding of destiny versus free will with having the view from the other side, with having been on the other side and back. So first of all, a couple of the comments that I received. Um, One was a beautiful comment from a gentleman who is a physician, and he was saying that he does a lot of research into alternative ways of healing all kinds of things, cancer and other things like that. And he constantly wants to equip people with this information where they don't have to drug themselves, they don't have to rely on doctors, they don't have to rely on pharmaceuticals. But the problem is that a lot of people don't really want to take that responsibility for their lives. So this is an important point, is that there are a lot of us who expect the doctor to give us a magic pill. So it's kind of like, so on the one hand, doctors need to give you your power back. But on the other hand, if you are a patient seeing a doctor, you need to be willing to take your power back and not give your power. It's our fault for giving our power to the doctors. So on the one hand, absolutely doctors should not use fear. They should give you your power back. But it is our responsibility to not be a victim of our situation and to not be a victim of our health, or not feel like we are a victim of our health where we need rescuing. And that's the thing. That's where we need to kind of realize, okay, I've done a bunch of things that has caused me to get to this point. I may need some support by way of a doctor, but it is still up to me to take the lead in my own life and in my own well-being. So that's a really good point that we really also need to take on board and realize we are not victims. Unfortunately, our current paradigm, a lot of the stuff, the stories or the narrative we're told by some medical professionals, by the mass media, the mainstream media, causes us to believe that we are victims of our lives. We need to start to take our power back and realize we are not victims of our lives, which leads me to the topic that I wanted to talk about today, which is destiny versus free will. It's a question that comes up time and again, like how much of our lives is destiny and how much is free will. So let me tell you my understanding of destiny. My understanding of destiny is our soul's intention. It's before we were born, it's what our soul intended for us to come here to be and do and express and experience. It was the intention of our soul to be born into a certain family so that we may have certain experiences to shape us, so that we could come through certain challenges to then go on to do certain things, to either whether your thing is to change the world, or whether your thing is to just bring up amazing children, or to have a wonderful family, or whatever your experiences are, your soul had an intention. But you always have free will as to whether to follow that soul's intention or not. You always have free will to decide differently. And so let me break this down and explain this further. So this is, I want to be clear, this is my understanding, and this is what I learned when I was on the other side, because it was a question I had, like how much of our lives are destined. And the reason I started with, opened with us about not allowing ourselves to be victims, one of the things I've noticed is that cultures that believe very, very strongly in destiny, they actually seem to become complacent and allow themselves to be victims of their lives and say, oh, this is my destiny, this is my destiny. And they just ride along. And also, I've seen people who feel, well, if everything is destined, then there's no point in me trying. There's no point in me doing anything because it's all destined anyway. Actually, it's the opposite. Because you have free will as to whether to follow your destiny or not, you actually have to listen to your soul and put into practice what your soul says in order to follow your destiny. So it's not being complacent. And I want to explain this even deeper so that you really get what I'm saying. Um, so let's say, for example, your soul intended to come here, and it could be any situation, like whether it's that you're in, whether you're in a bad relationship, or you're having a health issue, or you're having financial issues. You could just say, oh, it was my destiny to be poor, or it was my destiny to be with this partner who abuses me, or it was my destiny to get sick. So in this case, you could be completely complacent and say, so I'm not going to do anything about it because this is my destiny. So that is how certain cultures I know who believe very strongly in destiny, that's how they handle their lives, and it makes them complacent and it makes them victims of their lives. That's not how I see it. What I see is that your soul may have intended for you to come through this challenge. Your soul may have intended for you to actually, let's say you're in a bad relationship where your partner is abusing you. Your soul may have intended for you to experience that relationship, but for you to develop the strength to actually leave that relationship. And leaving that relationship is what would have actually given the experience to your partner to know that they cannot get away with that behavior. So it would have been a lesson for the partner, and it would have taken you to another level to then open yourself up to a partner who values and respects you. Maybe that was the journey that your soul intended for you. Maybe that is actually what is your destiny. But by being complacent and allowing yourself to be a victim, you can easily say, oh, this is my destiny, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Whereas you have to me, your free will to choose to be a victim is what's keeping you in that negative situation. I do not believe that our soul has chosen for us to be in a negative situation for prolonged periods of time. I believe that we do get challenging situations to help us grow, but there is always a way out. There is always a way out. So how do we find this way out? We find this way out by turning inwards, by tuning inwards, because your soul knows what it intended to be and do. And so when you tune inwards, and you do that by sitting quietly, you ask spirit to help you, and you ask in whatever way works for you, whether it's spirit, whether it's God, whether it's the angels, whether it's your deceased loved ones, or just your higher self, your own soul. Your soul knows your journey. Your soul knows what you intended and where you came from and where it is that you actually want to go. So you just have to tune in and listen and listen. So here's the thing. When you're dealing with a health issue, for example, and this is something that comes to me, even when I'm dealing with minor health issues or health issues like whether it's an infection or whatever, or I'm feeling tired or depleted, I will ask my higher self, okay, so what do I need to do to overcome this situation, whatever it is? And my soul might say, oh, okay, it's because you allowed these people to trample all over you and exploit you. You need to speak out. Now here's where my free will, so my destiny is actually to speak out and stand up for myself. Or it might be like, you need to exercise more. You haven't exercised enough. Something as simple as that. Now is where my free will comes in. Do I take the insights that I'm getting from my soul? Do I say, okay, I'm going to speak out. Those people did exploit me. I'm not going to let them do that. I am going to break away from this agreement I have with them, and that's what's actually dragging me down. Or maybe it's something simpler, where, as I said, my the message I'm getting is that I need to exercise more. So am I going to do that? Am I going to start getting up and exercising, or am I still going to laze in bed and say, oh, whatever, it's my destiny to be sick? So you see what I mean? So now your soul is giving you messages all the time, all the time. Those messages are actually leading you to your intention, to the intention that your soul intended for you before it came. To me, that is destiny, what your soul intended as your path before you came. The early part of your life, like who you were born, the family you were born into, we call that destiny because we feel, oh, I didn't choose that. But actually, at some level, you did, because your soul had an intention for you. I feel I came into the most perfect family I could possibly be in, into the most perfect culture, even with the negative experiences, because it shaped me to do exactly what I do today. I could have wallowed in that. I could have died and stayed on the other side. All of that, I could have said, oh, that's my destiny. But actually, it's the other way around. My soul gave me guidance, and I took the guidance. The guidance your soul gives you, that is part of your destiny. You have a choice as to whether to follow that guidance or not. So following your destiny is actually the opposite of being complacent and just accepting what is. It is an active, um, it is an active act of actually tuning in, getting the messages, and following what the messages are. And that is where free will comes in. You always have the choice. So your message might tell you, you need to quit this job. You need to take a little bit of a chance here. You need to love yourself and have enough confidence in yourself to know that you're going to come through this. You need to take this little chance because there's something greater awaiting you. That might be what your soul is telling you when you tune in. And we get messages like this. And then 10 minutes later, we're like, oh no, I'm too scared. That was just a pipe dream. That was just my imagination. That is your free will saying that, oh, I'm too scared to do this, and you're blocking yourself from actually following your destiny. So how do you recognize the voice of destiny, the voice of your soul? You recognize the voice of your soul by when it tells you things that make you feel a little bit excited. It's like, oh yeah, if I do this, oh my gosh, this will open up for me. And it opens it up. It always leads to a level of excitement or freedom. That is the voice of destiny. Destiny doesn't keep you trapped and locked into a destiny that's unfavorable. It does the opposite, because you came here to express and be something. You came here to be a full expression of yourself. You didn't come here to be tied down and locked up and restrained. That's not who your soul is. Your soul came here to be free and liberated. The voice of destiny will always be a liberating one. So always remember that. The voice of destiny is always liberating. But your free will then has the choice. to follow the voice of fear or the voice of destiny. And that's the thing. And here, living in this world, in this paradigm, we are bombarded by the voice of fear coming at us, coming at us. And this is why it's become more and more important for you to tune in to your own inner voice, to your own inner net, to your own infinite net, and not in the voices that are the voices of fear that you are being bombarded with. It's so much more important for you to tune in to your infinite net and to spend time alone. For me, listening to music does it for me, or being out in nature, or just sitting quietly in my living room and asking a question. I ask questions. I ask questions. I ask for signs. I ask all the time. I talk to them all the time. It's a habit, and you can develop the habit of being in touch with the other side all the time. So I just wanted to come on here to remind you of that, to give you my interpretation of free will versus destiny, and to remind you to tune in, tune in, tune in, and remember to listen to the voice of freedom, liberation. That's the voice of destiny. Before I go, just a couple of things I wanted to mention. One is I'm going to be doing an event online on March 10th. We're going to include the link for it. It's a live event and it's online. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Pacific, but you'd have to look up what time it is in your country. And it is going to be via Zoom. It's with the Unity of San Jose, but it's online. And anybody can join and buy tickets from all over the world. And it's going to be interactive, where I get to see you and you get to see me, and you get to raise your hand and ask questions. So I'm looking forward to that because I love connecting with my audience. I'd love to see you guys. So please check out this event. Tickets are on sale for it, and we'll be including the link for you. The second thing I wanted to mention is my book, Dying to Be Me, is being relaunched. It comes out in March. It's the 10th anniversary edition with bonus content where I speak about connecting with the other side and signs and being an empath. So that's the new version. So please check it out. It's already available for pre-order on Amazon. And the third thing I wanted to mention, super exciting, next week on February 2nd, 2022, we are going to be relaunching my online sanctuary. So please check that out, where we will be doing experiential energy groups, and where you will get to experience energy exchanges, and where I do regular Zoom calls with the entire group. So please check all three out. If you enjoyed this video and you like the content and you would like more content like this, please support me by clicking like, subscribe, follow, depending what platform you're on, and you'll be sure to get more content like this. Thank you all so much, and I can't wait to see you all next week. Bye.